Good morning and welcome. Hope you had a great weekend. We all did here. We had a great Mother's Day with my wife and got to call my mom and talk to her a little bit. So that was great. Hopefully you did as well. Mother's Day is a great celebration of the mothers and all that they do in our lives. So thank you for that, and thank you for all the mothers that are listening out there. We've got a great show lined up for you today. This guy that is coming on is he's phenomenal. So I'm really looking forward to the conversation. We also have another show. We have more shows coming up at the end of tomorrow, and then Wednesday and Thursday, and then Friday we have 2 shows. So those shows, again, I'll talk to a little bit about them at the end of this show. But I want to make sure that you all understand the importance of having your core beliefs and your core values aligned with your vision. Because if you can have that aligned with your vision, then you'll know that you're making the most difference in the world you can, and being the happiest you possibly can. Because that is what this is really all about, is making sure that your core beliefs and your core values are aligned with your vision. Now, sometimes you need to put those blinders on and focus on your vision. But there are other times you need to take those blinders off and really just see the world around you and outside of you. So that is important as always, but there's so much more that we can learn. And really this practice that we do every day to understand that importance is what I think is one of the most important things. So if you have any questions about any of this, by all means, let me know. But, I look forward to hearing more about what you have going on, and really want to make sure that you are understanding of what we have going on with our good friend and someone that's going to join us on the show today. Without any further ado, I want to bring on Mr. Scott Leeper. Hey, good morning, Scott.
Hey, good morning. How are you?
How are you?
I'm well. Yourself?
I'm great, thank you. Well, Scott, tell me, when is your first recollection of knowing your vision?
The first recollection was it was kind of an evolution of multiple events, and the vision kind of grew as each event happened, and it started with some trauma that I went through. We'll get into that. The end of a career that led me to learning that I wanted to help people, just didn't know what that looked like. That turned into personal training. Personal training led to coaching. As I was a coach, I created a mentorship group for vets at a local VFW. And then at one point, shortly after that happened, was when it kind of hit me in the face, like, okay, I finally know, that I need to do my part and fight against veteran suicide, doing that through mindset coaching.
Awesome. If you want to hear more, stay right there. Scott, wow, that's quite an answer. So tell us more Tell us more of your story.
So the story really picks up in 2012. I was a sergeant stationed in Camp Lejeune, and got the call that my dad wasn't doing well. And so, long story short, I ended up having to come home, and I had to take him off life support, and I watched him take his last breath because of an alcohol addiction. And at the time, I didn't really have many coping mechanisms, any healthy coping mechanisms, if you will. And after we had his memorial service and cremated him, I went right back to work. I was in one of the busiest CID offices in the Marine Corps. And that led to a lot of mental health challenges for myself, which led to a lot of uncharacteristic decisions that I made. And eventually I was kicked out of the military with an other than honorable discharge. And when I got out, I knew that I wanted to help people. Didn't know what that looked like, and started working different jobs. First job was in staffing. And about a year later, I got fired from that job. Started working for a nonprofit where I was running a bunch of thrift stores in the area that funded a rehab facility for men that had addictions. And what I loved the most about that job was I had the ability to go and speak to these men in the rehab facility. And they had shut that rehab facility down in my local area, sent everything to a different area. So I was stuck running a bunch of thrift retail stores, and that just really wasn't my gig. And so I left, tried to go chase money, and went and worked for a garage door company. Worked for that company for about a year. Once again, I was fired. But that led me to when I was working in that job, I started doing amateur bodybuilding competitions and found my love for fitness again. So when I got fired, I went and became a personal trainer. The personal training job, as I was doing that, the sessions started turning into life coaching sessions in the middle of the gym floor. And so I started doing research, found life coaching certification courses, and went and got certified, had received 4 certifications within a year and a half for health and life coaching. And that was 2018. And just started really working with various people, trying to find my niche. I didn't know what the niche looked like. Tried different things. I even wrote a book called Drowning in Addiction, Sink or Swim. And but working with people in addiction, that didn't really pan out too well. So fast forward to January of 2020, I was asked to start a mentorship group at a local VFW. So I started that. We still meet every first Monday of every month. We meet at the VFW 360 in my hometown here in Mishawaka. And that led to me creating the Facebook group called Vets Mentoring Vets. Now, when I created that group because we only had like maybe 5 to 10 people show up. And when those people showed, I wanted to get more people in. And so I created this Facebook group. And initially it was just to raise awareness about this group that meets. And when I did it, I was like, you know what? I could use my coaching abilities and help vets across the nation through a Facebook group. And so I opened up to vets across the nation. Within the first 30 days, there were 8,600 vets, active and reserves, that had joined this group.
Really?
And and we ended up within a matter of a few months, we got up to 12,000, and we've sat about 12 to 12,500. And so that was kind of like the culmination of all these events that took place that told me, okay, you know what? I've been that vet that's had these challenges, and I've been kicked out with an other than honorable discharge. And, there's a lot of vets that go through a lot of mental health challenges. A lot of people don't want to speak with a shrink or with a mental health professional, or they have a hard time connecting with them. So I decided to start Alpha Lima Charlie, to where now I'm a veteran mindset coach, is the phrase that I use. And that was established July 30th. And so I'm still in my first year with Alpha Lima Charlie, and it's still in its startup phase. That's where it's at.
Wow. And what do you do with Alpha Lima Charlie?
So that is the veteran mindset coaching platform that I use. That's the company name. And really what it is, it's peer-based coaching. I'm not a therapist. I don't pretend to be a therapist. Therapists have they have their own skill set, and they do very crucial work for a lot of people. My focus is on not so much worrying too much about a diagnosis. That's for them to do and for them to figure out. For me, it's about, okay, what are we doing to move forward? What are we doing to get unstuck? Realistically, it's bridging the gap between vets and mental health professionals that maybe a lot of vets don't want to connect with or feel they can't connect with. There's a lot of vets that refuse to go to see a mental health professional. This at least gives them something to be able to start moving forward. And it's been phrased as the toolbox with the tools to help vets move forward. That was one from one testimonial that I'd received from somebody I worked with.
And I'm assuming people can find all this information at alphagrowth.org.
Yeah, yep, just alphagrowth.org. My contact info is on there as well. There's a link that I also have a member site that people can pay $22 a month. And what that is it's coaching online. You get members get videos sent to their member site every week. And it's got action steps. It's got handouts to help them engage with the content. So there's a link there to click on that to go through the sign up process for that. Or, if people are interested in one-on-one coaching or group coaching, there's contact information for me directly to me. There's no automated system or click one to speak with this person or whatever. It's that is my phone number is direct contact.
Wow. That's awesome. And thank you for your service. I mean, that your service continues on. So that's great.
Absolutely. And that's one thing I want to touch on service continues. Mm-hmm. One of the big challenges that vets have is when they get out, they feel this loss of purpose. They don't know who they are anymore. They don't know what they're put on this earth to do. And one of the questions that I ask frequently is, when you join the military, did you join to serve your country? And the answer is yes. Okay. Serving your country, are you serving the real estate? Are you serving the dirt? Or are you serving the people in the country? And the answer is always the people in the country. So, okay. So when you get out, the question you need to ask yourself is, what can I do now to continue to be of service to my fellow countrymen and women? When they start to be able to ask themselves that question, they may not even know it yet.
Right.
But at least if they're asking themselves that question and being genuinely curious about that question, they will start to find things to open up, opportunities to present themselves, signs that present themselves to say, this is the direction to go. And that was exactly the case for me. Like back when I'd first been forced out and all these other things, like I didn't really see any purpose. I didn't really think that I was kicked out of the Marine Corps at that point. And, I just kind of felt like I was a wadded up piece of trash thrown in the bin. But because I was receptive to different opportunities that present themselves, and sometimes the opportunity presents itself through being fired from a job.
Yeah.
Because I was receptive, that's led me to what I'm doing now, the people I'm speaking with now, the impact that I've made now. And I'm not some anomaly. I'm not some guru. I'm just somebody that listened to the signs, that followed the opportunities. And that's through genuine curiosity instead of judging myself because I got kicked out with another than honorable.
But you asked the curious questions of yourself.
Exactly. You have to.
So I think that might be where a lot of people get hung up, is they don't ask those questions because they may think that they know the answer, and they may think that they're not going to get help from anybody outside because they won't help. They don't know me. But if they ask that curious question, just like we do every day, what am I doing? How am I doing? Does that make the most sense? If you just continue to ask yourself that question, it's going to come to you. The goodness will come to you, right?
And that's one of the hallmarks of coaching is, people think coaching is this person that's going to tell you what to do and tell you how to live your life. And, that's the furthest from the truth, right? I don't know how you're going to live your life. I don't know how you should live your life. What I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to ask you lots of questions. I'm going to provide insights and stories to help you find the answers in your own mind, because the answer's already there. Sometimes it just takes the right person to ask the right question to pull it out of you.
And then it clicks.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
How does that make you feel when you see it click?
I mean, that's one of the greatest fulfillments of doing this is, and whether it's somebody finding that clarity on purpose, or it's somebody who is able to release some detrimental thinking from traumas that happened, be it sexual assault victims that were in the military, to people that lost brothers and sisters to combat or to suicide, and being able to see them start to release that grip just a little bit on the past and starting to view life as happening for them instead of to them. That is one of the greatest aspects of fulfillment that I get out of this.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So we've got some friends on. I want to say good morning to our friend Ted. There he is. Good morning, Ted. Good to see you. But then I also want to encourage anybody else that's on the show to the live stream to go ahead and put in your comments in the comments section. Put in where you're coming in from. Put in a hashtag live if you're listening to this live. If you listen to this on replay, put in a hashtag replay. That would be great. And really sharing this video out with as many people as you can. That would also be helpful to make this community larger and to continue to serve more and more people. So that's great. Also, if you would, put a picture of you winking in your timeline. And when you wink, yes, like I wink, when you wink, I want you to think, what makes me unique and what am I trying to do? So like Scott just said, what am I trying to do? What do I want to do? How do I want to serve these people? So if you know that, if you ask yourself that question, the answer is going to come to you. I can't tell you when it's going to come to you, but it will come to you. So that is part of what makes you unique. And if you can understand what makes you unique, then you're gonna be able to do more than you've ever thought possible. Like for me, what makes me unique is not my eye. What makes me unique is my willingness to share my story with other people. So that's why it's so important. So put that in your timeline. Tag me, Brian Wagner, on that. Put a hashtag of Brian with one eye, a hashtag of Winking with Wagner, and then you'll be entered into a raffle to win a free signed copy of my book. So there you go. That's my commercial. What a mouthful.
Yeah.
So anyway, what do you think the biggest factor in your success is?
Honestly, it's when I carry on these conversations, when I carry on coaching sessions with people, I don't have any script. I don't have any the biggest thing, honestly, is just it's just speaking from the heart. It's just because the thing is, there's one of my mentors had once said, the head has no answers, the heart has no questions. So if you think about every time you're in your head, you've got all kinds of questions. You're asking all these what if questions, what if this, what if that, but there's never any answer that pops up. But whenever you feel something intuitively that you got to do something, and sometimes it doesn't even make any logical sense. And when you do that thing, it opens something up for you, or it creates this new sensation, or it could just be just a good feeling you get, from something small like that to finding some big success because you followed your intuition and it didn't make any sense. Enter Elon Musk, right? But so I guess to contribute to my success would be just that, just following, leading from the heart and instead of the head.
Yeah, that's good, dude. So the head has no questions, or I'm sorry, the head has no answers, and the heart has no questions. Did I say that right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, that's a good saying. So who'd you get that quote from?
So I heard Sean Stevenson say that once. Sean Stevenson, he was known as the 3-foot giant, phenomenal individual, author of the book Get Off Your Butt, BUT. I recommend that book to anybody. It's one of my favorite books. But he had actually passed away a couple years ago. But just phenomenal individual, phenomenal advice. Every time he opened his mouth, it was just something phenomenal came out.
That's good. Wow. Very cool. So some good advice you got there. What is really the best advice you think you've ever gotten?
I actually would have came from him also. And that was, life happens for you. It doesn't happen to you. To illustrate that point, when my dad died, it was, I played the victim role to a T. I'm a victim of circumstance. This is happening to me. This is why I'm making these uncharacteristic decisions, blah, 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 blah. But now, I view my dad's death as a gift. There were a lot of things I learned through that whole experience, and I grew more as a result of that experience and all the ensuing experiences, including my son being born 3 months after his death. That it's nothing less of a blessing. If you would have told me back then, your dad's death is a blessing, I probably would have throat punched you. To be honest,
and that would have hurt.
But it was, and it still is. We wouldn't be having this conversation if everything didn't happen the way it happened. Yeah. So life happens for you, doesn't happen to you.
Yeah, that's good. I love that. Well, what's next for you?
Well, now it's finding ways of growing the startup that is Alpha Lima Charlie, and a couple of ways that I'm doing that right now. Seeking out community partners that want to apply for grants, nonprofits that want to apply with grants with me to fund vets to receive coaching for free at no cost to them. To also find organizations that want to sponsor vets. So, and just vets, and that doesn't mean that vets can't invest in themselves. They don't want to. I'm a firm believer that if you get something for free, you don't put as much value in it as if you invest in it yourself. Right. But a lot of times too, like with coaching with vets, there's a lot of them that have such a bad taste in their mouth from mental health, that even coaching is, they kind of turn away from it, and they don't want any part of it. And I've had several. I just recently did the end of last year, I did a group coaching pilot program that was sponsored by the AmVets Heal program, and 10 vets went through it. Anywhere from somebody that was in for 4 years, got out as a corporal, to a retired brigadier general that went through this program, and the results were astronomical. 100% of them had received better ways to cope with stress and adversity in life. 100% of them had received clarity on their purpose, which is a massive intangible that is sorely needed. They started viewing their quality of life as better as a result of the coaching, because it's a lot of it was about perspective shifting, being able to shift their perspectives around to things that are taking place or that happened to them in the past. For example, I've helped shift the perspective for some vets. Like if you think about the movie Saving Private Ryan, at the end of that movie, the captain, as he was dying, he pulls Private Ryan in and he tells him, he says, earn this. And I've used that part of that movie as an analogy to help vets shift their perspective, because so many vets still struggle with the loss of their brothers and sisters in arms, be it combat, be it suicide. And, when it comes to those vets that have gone before us, those service members that have died before us, that was them telling us the exact same thing. Like, I signed that, I signed that blank check, and I unfortunately have to cash in now. But because I'm cashing in on it, you go earn this life. Mm-hmm. Right? Does that answer the question?
Yeah, that's good. So the work you're doing is incredible. What do you still struggle with? What kind of challenges you're still trying to overcome?
That's a part two of the first question. Being a startup, getting believers, getting people to believe in the process. Yeah. And I'm working on that right now. I'm working on different ways to create a better brand, if you will. Just getting more people involved and finding those people that are willing to either invest in themselves, invest in vets, or work together to apply for grants. The Scott Hannon Act was just passed back in September. And Section 201 of that grant is the Staff Sergeant Gordon Parker Fox Suicide Prevention Grant Program. It's not implemented yet. It's in the process. My guess is it'll be implemented at some point this year. And that right there is one where organizations like mine can partner with community organizations, be it they represent mayors or their VSOs or institutions of higher education. And we would apply for these grants through the Scott Hannon Act to start working with vets, because the grant is specifically for suicide prevention. And when you have more than 6,300 veteran suicides per year, every year since 2008, you're talking, it's somewhere in the neighborhood. I think it was like, I did the math, or something like 82,000 suicides in 13 years, somewhere around that number. It's astronomical. So, with these things coming out, like, it's a must that, community organizations and organizations like mine apply for these grants and make these things happen. And so, the challenge is just getting, and I'm a one-man show. So just getting people to believe in the process that I've created in order to start to invest in these vets and get these vets the coaching that's going to help them start to move forward. And, for anybody that's watching this, because a lot of people are like, okay, show me proof, right? People want to see proof. Mm-hmm. And the proof is from the vets themselves. If you go to my website, if you go to alphagrowth.org, you'll see testimonials from vets that I've worked with in the past. There's a video on there. At the end of it is a video testimonial. And there's a spouse and a Navy vet sitting together that I was interviewing, and she had said that the coaching had actually saved their marriage. That's huge. Divorce rate for vets is astronomically high. And a lot of it is because there's the connection piece is missing after we get back, or after we get out of the service, because we don't know our purpose. We don't know our identity anymore. And who's the first people we're going to take it out on? Our loved ones, or our loved ones don't understand. And there's a clash there too. Right. So there's proof there, and it's just getting people to buy into the process.
Okay, so I'm going to ask. We've got time for one last question, but the last question is, who helps to see your blind spots?
I've got a few mentors. I speak with Sherman was on your show previously. I speak to him, and he has kept me highly. Yeah, Sherman Gillums. He's kept me very educated on. Like, he was the one that turned me on to the Scott Hannon Act, and I've I look at those letters probably. The letters of that law being passed, I probably look at that once or twice a week, if not more. So he's one that really is in my corner. Although Sean Stevenson has passed, the videos that he has on YouTube and his book and things like that, like just the teachings that he left behind, his legacy that he left behind, continues to help me see some of those blind spots as well. And I've got a few other mentors that I speak with on occasion that help out too.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. What can we leave? What can we leave the audience with today? I mean, this has been phenomenal. I so appreciate your service and everything you do. But what can we leave the audience with today?
Well, I would say, one of the things that I hear a lot of vets say is they struggle with the phrase, "Thank you for your service." And they struggle with that phrase because after you hear it so often, a lot of vets start to feel like it's just a placeholder, or it's let me say this real quick. So we kind of release any awkwardness because I just really don't know how to respond to this guy, this vet, because there's all these stigmas that are out there. Well, he's a vet and he could go nuts, or PTSD, or whatever. My answer to that, my response to that is, when you say thank you for your service, follow up with why. Why do you thank that person for their service? It could be something as simple as, because of you, you've been able to, because of guys like you, you've been able to protect our way of life. Or because of guys like you, we can go enjoy our own religion, or whatever the answer is, but find a why. Find a reason why you're thanking them for their service. And that right there will mean a whole lot more to most vets. Yeah.
Follow up with why.
Yeah.
Why it matters.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's awesome. Great advice. Great advice. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Well, Definitely. This has been great. Thank you so much for your time. I'm going to wave you off. If you would stick around in the green room for a little bit,
sure,
that would be great. And then I will be back and I will close out the show and get things going here.
Awesome.
Thanks, Scott.
Thank you.
All right. Oh my gosh. Great advice. I love that. Tell somebody thank you for your service. We all do that at times, but to follow it up with why really adds a lot, and it really makes it more meaningful for you and that person. So yeah, let's do that. Wow, that was great. Now we've got another great guest coming up tomorrow. Chuck Gallagher is going to be joining us, and Chuck is phenomenal. I'm really looking forward to having him on. And then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, it's going to be me. We're going to be talking more about how we encourage someone that's different from us. So, I have a little bit of experience with that, and we look forward to having that conversation with you all here the rest of the week. So if there's ever anything that I can do for you, and then, by the way, next Monday, we have a Kid Again coming on. So a Kid Again is a charity, and it's a charity that helps people with, or helps youth with life-threatening illnesses, and allows them to be a kid again, and allows them to get away from their doctors, get away from needles and all that. And so a phenomenal organization, and I'm looking forward to having them here on Monday. Thank you all so much for being here. I truly appreciate your time. And if there's ever anything that I can do for you, please let me know.